Last night, the footballing world endured heartbreak as Bury FC were expelled from the Football League after 125 years. Due to the tragic situation that both Bury and Bolton find themselves in, we're dedicating this episode to both clubs. As always, if you enjoy this podcast, support us with a subscription and don't forget to check out our other platforms. Any support is greatly appreciated. But without further ado, let's talk ball. I didn't want to be too enthusiastic in that intro.
It's a morning day today, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 11 of the Let's Talk Ball podcast. I'm Samuel Slaney, and I'm joined with Connor Ward and John Lomas.
How's it going?
I don't know why I'm laughing, really.
Yeah.
It's a sad time.
No reason to laugh today, Connor. A club's died.
Yeah, so as I said in the intro then, Bury have officially been expelled from the Football League.
What does that mean? Does that mean they're going to the non-league? Or
well, at the moment, they've got no league.
They've got no league.
Couldn't play here at Staffs.
Yeah.
They could literally play. I think it's expelled, so they can literally never return, can't they, as well?
So what's that?
Oh, is it?
I think so.
Is it that tight?
If it's expulsion, then yeah, that's like being expelled from school. You can't go back, I think. It's permanent.
So what about the ground and everything? They're just going to demolish it?
Sell it and then demolish it.
We buy
yeah.
with a student loan.
For the student loan, yeah.
Thinking, well, Steve Dale bought it for £1. Like, I've got £1 on me now. I could have bought it.
Well, I've got.
I would have probably passed the fit and proper test as well.
Yeah, how the hell? We'll get onto that later on. But how the hell he passed that?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Was it fraud? Must have been fraud or something. I don't know.
No, it's just like the football.
This is yet another financial situation they've been in.
So was it just a normal guy that just brought the...
He's a businessman, but he's like a dreadful businessman. Like,
what was it? 43 companies that are associated with him.
Yeah, and I'll give you one as well. I saw someone do the research on a YouTube video, and then I decided to do it afterwards. It apparently took the girl that looked at it 5 minutes to find this out. It took me about 5 to 10 minutes to find out that within, I think, the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, that 20 businesses that Steve Dale has owned have either gone into CVA, liquidation, and administration, and he passed the fucking fit and proper test.
I don't know how.
How the hell did he pass that? Because he's clearly an incompetent owner to begin with, and he's bought it for £1. How does he pass the fit and proper test? The Football League should be ashamed of themselves. They really should. Well,
we will get on to that later, but I think it's important to say that our thoughts are with everyone involved with the club, and especially the fans. They're the ones who've lost out.
The fans, and not just them, the players that have lost their jobs, the staff that have lost their jobs. There was obviously that midfielder that, has anyone seen that one, was on TalkSport, that was talking to the owner on the phone and said, if this club dies, I will be out of a home.
Oh, wow.
I mean, like, this is bigger than football now. Like, this is people's livelihoods at stake, and they've just been so ridiculously cutthroat and have decided to completely cut that from them income.
It's tragic.
People are going to
the players not getting paid for.
No.
Yeah, not since April.
Not since April.
That's bad. Wow.
And like I said, it's such a low level football.
They depend on that, don't they?
They depend on that, yeah. It's not massive wage in that low end.
Well, I think you said a few episodes back, some good plumbers are on more than
good plumbers
League One, League Two players.
How much do you reckon they'll be on League One, League Two, like a week?
Low end League One players will be on like £200 a week.
No, it's more than that. It's like probably 750 or 1,000.
I'm talking like bench players though. So it's absolutely ridiculous. Like you said, in that division, being a very high up electrician's better paid, so they could really do without not being paid until April. The Football League should be absolutely ashamed of themselves for this. And they've shown no remorse at all.
Did the chairman, the man who brought the club, sort of know what was he? Was like a Mike Ashley-esque?
I think he's worse.
He's a similar character though, isn't he? Really,
he's a scumbag. Yeah. I mean, he did you see him on 5 Live? He said, "I didn't even know there was a football club in Bury.
Yeah.
I've never been to Bury before, so it doesn't really care if it dies."
It's shocking. That is appalling.
That. And he passed the fit and proper test.
Right, so before we go even more in depth on this situation and really address everything that's gone wrong, we posted on Twitter last night, if you're a fan of either of these clubs, we're here for you if you need to talk. We understand that this situation is like losing a close relative. For some people, they've lost their one true passion, and the whole football world literally supports them at this time.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
Let's put aside local
I haven't seen
rivalries.
the football world this united since Bradley Lowry.
Yeah, I agree. And I this is coming from a Burnley fan, obviously. We'll get on to Bolton, but us and Bolton don't particularly like each other. But at this
Well, it's
time,
rivalries aside, isn't it?
It's rivalries aside at this stage. I would never wish death upon any club. Like, it's just awful. I can't, like, I wasn't around to see my club be on the brink of death, but Burnley have been in a similar situation, so we feel full empathy. Awful.
Didn't Sky Sports do like I saw you commenting on this.
Yeah.
Like
a deadline?
Yeah, a deadline.
Like
yeah.
a countdown, as if it's like theatre, as if it's like, it's deadline day. Yeah. Bury and Bolton have so much amount of
No, it's
time to
morally
save
wrong.
their club.
Morally
Can't
wrong,
believe
that is.
that. They, like I said on the thing, on the comment, they're making theatre out of it. They're making it like gossip, like drama, as if it's like, you know,
Like as if it's exciting.
as if it's exciting, as if it's like, you know, not having people's livelihoods and whatever at risk.
Now, definitely, like a large portion of this is on the EFL,
Yeah.
but this isn't the first time that they've been in financial problems,
No,
is
it's
it?
2002, I think.
Yeah, well, this is the third time within the last 2 decades
Yeah.
that they found themselves in like significant financial troubles.
Yeah.
You were right with that. 2001, 2002. That was the first
Was
one.
that ITV Digital?
It was,
Because
yeah.
that almost killed us as well. It
And
ruined
interestingly,
lot
a
of us.
supporters campaign raised enough to keep the club afloat.
Yeah, it's a shame they can't do that again.
Yeah, I think the fees are that big now.
Yeah, no, I mean, ITV Digital did a lot of clubs. It almost put Burnley out of business. It's awful, that was, the way that collapsed. But that's a different time.
And then 2012 in December, they were placed under a transfer embargo
Yeah.
because they didn't have the financial backing. And that was interesting because it's as a result of poor attendance figures.
Yeah, like it's a 10,000 seat stadium and they get about 3,000 on, I think.
So were they above their means in terms of that?
I think so.
They didn't help themselves in that way, did they?
Listen, like they definitely didn't help themselves. Like they
There's more that could have been done,
They-
but that reflects on Steve Dale, surely.
yeah, he only bought the club recently though, to be fair. This is like also the
Previous
fault of
owners.
previous owners as well. But yeah, they like Bolton, they overspent. Like they have mismanaged the club to hell, really. Like they do.
It's years of damage, isn't
It's
it?
years of damage, yeah, and it's finally caught up with them. And so like that, it's not obviously not all the Football League's fault. It definitely isn't. It's an amalgam of things.
And you
including the
don't
club.
know that this last time in 2012,
Yeah.
when they managed to get back again, you don't know if the EFL kind of thought that's your last chance.
Yeah, well, this is
Because
the
they are
thing.
kind
I
of
mean,
messing
like,
them about.
I think the Football League needed. I've thought of this as making an example, which is ridiculous, but that's what they're doing now because they let Leeds off the hook, they let Leicester off the hook, they let Portsmouth off the hook. They feel like now they need to make an example of a club, and Bury and Bolton are going to be the victims.
Yeah, do you think that with Bolton as well?
Oh, I think Bolton will be gone. Yeah,
What's
I'd be
happening with
surprised.
Bolton?
Given 14 days to save the club, but
It's more than 48 hours, isn't it?
yeah,
Obviously,
it is more than 48 hours. But
Bury
like,
were done harsh there.
they were, but
But
like,
it just shows Bolton must have more evidence.
yeah, they must do. But like, it is more difficult. Like they've been saying that takeover is going to go on for ages now, and it just hasn't. Like they've been saying it since April. Like, how are they going to get it done in 14 days if they couldn't get it done in like 3 months?
Is it like what's the situation there?
Just again, like, well,
It's
overspend.
mismanagement, isn't it?
Mismanagement, isn't it, of a business? Like, it just happens, and they've completely
And,
like
and the embarrassing thing is, whether you're into football or not, these guys are businessmen.
they are. Yeah,
It reflects so badly on them.
I know. Like, it's people like that just like don't understand what they're doing at times.
It's going to impact all the further business ventures into which they make.
Well, yeah, but it's going to impact these towns, Bolton and Bury as towns. I mean, like, taking away the football club is taking away like a big part of those towns. Like, it brings in so much money and all sorts, and not just
Bolton,
that.
aren't Bolton? Like, what's Bolton's stadium capacity like?
It's 28,000.
Yeah, it's
I mean, they
quite-
obviously never fill it. It was too big. This is the thing. Like,
They're too
But-
big to be in League One, though, aren't they?
yeah,
They should be in
I
Championship.
think they're a championship club, maybe Premiership at times. But I think with Bolton, the problem is there that when they overspent to hell when they were in the Premier League, and not just that, they moved from Brundon Park and went to a massive stadium outside of the town. That didn't help. The attendances were never great. They never used to fill the ground in the Premier League. I think they used to get about 22,000 on in the Premier League for a 28,000 seat stadium, and overspending. And they finally went down, and then it was kind of like a domino effect. I think they had a winding up position in December 2015, and then Ken Anderson took charge, and he just completely took it to shit, kind of like Steve Dale. But
I mean, in terms of how different this situation could be, Dale received an offer for the club, didn't he?
He did.
And that was on the 20th of August, and he rejected it.
That he could get a better deal. How dare he?
He wanted something like, I think it was 850 or 860,000.
Yeah. How dare he? How dare he basically play with a club's future just so he could get a few more quid, a better deal? How dare he?
And when you've bought a club for a quid,
I know exactly. But
stupid.
What he should be doing is, for the first offer that means Bury survives as a football club, he sells.
You take it. Yeah,
that should have been his priority.
Because beggars can't be choosers.
You know what the Football League should have said? That's what you have to do. If
all offers should have been directed through to the EFL, and the EFL choose them.
Yes,
it shouldn't be down to the club.
Yes, exactly. I was going to say that. You took the words out of my mouth. Yeah.
No, 100%.
Definitely agree with that. That's ridiculous.
And just touching on the EFL, they insisted that they were working close with them to try and resolve the situation.
Were they, Al?
Doesn't seem like it, does it? And if they were, it was very, very private then.
You know what disgusted me? That spokeswoman came out and basically went out attacking, saying, "Don't say we don't care." So she doesn't care about having Bolton and Bury survive. She cares about keeping her reputation in take. Unbelievable.
I can sense the anger that you've got right now, and you have every right. And just imagine how them fans are feeling.
I just think it's disgusting, and I just look at it and think that could easily be my club.
It makes you appreciate your club's existence.
I know it does.
Because it could all be so different.
And look, I know we all problems are relative. Let's get this out of the way now. People have said they moan at Man United fans and Newcastle and whatever fans for moaning about their clubs, and then go, well, what about Bolton, Bury, Coventry, and whatever? But all problems are relative. Man United fans are still allowed to moan at the Glazers, but it doesn't
not on that scale.
It doesn't mean what Bolton and Bury are going through now is just much worse and awful. It doesn't mean they just because Man United moan at the Glazers doesn't mean they have no empathy for Bolton and Bury's situation.
Oh yeah, that situation's terrible. It makes you think how fortunate we are as I am as a United fan.
Definitely with me as well, because
to be honest, greedy.
Yeah, no.
Because you just expect your club to exist.
And it's with me, with Burnley fans, we moan all the time about how we never spend much and we underspend.
But maybe there's a reason.
But there's a reason, because clubs around us, Bolton and Bury are around us. Blackburn aren't dying, but they've gone off the scale and stuff. And other clubs overspent and felt the consequences. We can't do that, so we've decided we're going to spend wisely and not overspend and keep within our means, so that if we do eventually, because we will eventually drop down to the Championship, everyone bar the top 6 will eventually drop down again, we need to be well prepared financially to be in that division again. So I can totally see why we're cautious. I mean, I get we could maybe spend a little bit more, but that's why we keep our wage structure so low.
Just going back to it then, how much of this is the EFL's fault?
Most.
Do you think?
Just about.
Because like we said earlier, Bury didn't give them much of an option, did they?
You know what? I'm going to say it's 50-50. If I'll be fair, I think it's 50-50.
Well, let's split it up then. So you've got Dale, EFL, and Bury.
I'm going to say Dale's the pushing point.
He's a portion, isn't he? Because if he accepted that first offer, then none of this happens.
And he took them over the edge. It was already a club struggling financially, and he finally pushed it over the edge. So ultimately, I suppose he is the one that's kicked the bucket down the road and has killed the club, technically. But in the starting of it, it's the club itself and its mismanagement, and the Football League for not assisting enough. So I'd say it's kind of divided equally between the three. I'd say it's kind of like a third each, like 33% each.
What's his name? Steve
Dale. Look at him. He looks like a Bond villain.
Yeah, he does actually.
He genuinely looks like a Bond villain. Like his bloody beard just looks like you look at him and think,
Yeah, it does a bit,
scumbag.
yeah.
Yeah, he looks like a Bond villain.
No, it's shocking. I've actually got when we were talking about the companies, it's according to the Sun anyway, a worrying 43 of the 51 companies Dale has been associated with have been liquidated.
Yeah,
It's
what
shocking.
the hell? Took me 5 to 10 minutes to find out 20 of them are in CVA administration
so,
or
like you say,
liquidation.
that kind of reflects on the EFL. How's he passed
The fit and proper test.
test?
He's passed the fit and proper test. He's fit and proper.
Bearing in mind, if someone is buying a club for £1, you need to do more research into their history because anyone can buy it for £1.
Anyone can buy it for absolutely any bob on the road.
You
can
could
do
find
that.
it on the street and go there.
Yeah, exactly.
What's his net worth, Steve Dale?
He's going to have no money, is he? He couldn't fund it. He's going to have...
Can you imagine if he's sitting on a massive portion and he just doesn't want to spend any more?
He looks the type that... I know that's a bit thingy to say.
He's just like a dodgy businessman, isn't he?
He just looks like a bit, you know what I mean?
Scum, mate.
Yeah.
Absolute scum.
It's
just the lack of... It's like he just doesn't care that he's potentially put someone on the fucking streets.
Well, it's that quote that he said on 5 Live, like you touched on earlier. I never went to Bury, so for me to walk away from Bury and never go back is a very easy thing to do.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was a football team called Bury. I am not a football fan.
Why did you buy it then?
That's
what I'd say to him if he was here right now. Why the hell did you buy it? Like, why would you do that? Like,
I feel like he's one of them. He's got an answer for everything as well.
I know.
You know, if we were interviewing
he's
him.
got some kind of bullshit answer for everything.
Yeah, like politically answering it where he dodges a question.
I know.
Oh, rip, yeah.
It's gone.
1885 as well.
Yeah, that's...
So what happens with all the history then? Is that...
It's gone.
Well, that's the thing, yeah.
It's
And
gone.
obviously when they reform, that history is almost deleted. I know it kind of exists before that, but...
They've got... Them and Man City hold the highest ever FA Cup final win. It's 6-0. I saw.
And they're the only team to have ever scored 1,000 goals in each 4 divisions. How crazy is that?
So it's a very historical football club.
Yeah.
And so are Bolton in like many respects. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, we can't lose them now. I know that some people have been putting out like a petition to try and get, if Bolton do survive, which is slim
Bolton and Bury merge.
As we speak, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't totally be against that.
I wouldn't, but then is that unfair on Bolton because they've managed to save their club? Should they be able to have their rights?
I mean, I suppose if they're willing. If they're not willing, then obviously
now,
not.
if both go into liquidation,
then
they merge?
Well, that's the thing. If they both liquidate, then yeah, I think that's a valid argument to help each other out. I don't know why they didn't do like Bobby Madley, the referee in the Premier League, tweeted that they should do, because Bolton and Bury were scheduled to play each other in League One, they should have Old Trafford host the match and make it a massive fundraising day for both teams.
You know what? It should. And there should be like a GoFundMe as well.
Yeah, I know.
Because a lot of fans around the world would invest.
I'd have put in quite a bit of money. I would have.
Well, I think every fan would have.
Yeah, I can afford. Like if it means
flexing, money gun,
but
goes to Bury Stadium.
If it
money
meant
gun
you
on the
own
car
a John Lomas.
If it meant that, you know, me giving 20-30 quid meant that football club survived, I'd do it.
Well, if everyone did that,
exactly,
they'd be fine, wouldn't they?
Exactly. And like I said, we can all afford to put £20 aside, so it meant that one poor bastard isn't, you know, having to look for a new home or go to a food bank.
We all put our student loans together and buy Bolton.
Yeah.
Imagine Staff's uni owns Bolton.
I really don't. Yeah.
The idea, the Old Trafford idea, sounds good.
It's a great idea.
It sounds really
because
good.
Because if you could fill that stadium.
Well, imagine it's 75.
Even if you just get 30,000 people on the gate, and all that goes to both clubs.
I'd be up for that.
100%. I'd have gone.
Well, Old Trafford as well. Good, good.
Like,
I guess.
I was genuinely considering. I didn't do it because I was doing something with my family on the bank holiday Monday. They had a clean up at Bury. I was considering going up and helping. Like I was just thinking, like it's easily gettable to just train up to Manchester and then the tram. Just like go and help.
Just to help out a struggling club. I mean, it's heartbreak as well. Did you see some fans have volunteered to clean the chairs and stuff and get ready for Saturday's game?
That's what I was thinking. That was exactly what I was on
about.
Bury
playing on Saturday.
They were going to, weren't they?
No,
obviously, because they died.
Got no league, have they?
No, not now.
So what happens going forward then? I mean, Nothing.
If they're lucky enough to reform, they move down 7 or 8 places.
Yeah, they'll
Is
probably.
it in League One?
They'll be
still,
playing
or?
like.
No, not League One. So it'll be like, well, they won't even be a professional team.
They'll be playing #United.
Yeah, in like the 8th tier.
That's who they'll be playing.
Isn't that Spencer FC?
That's
Yeah.
like his club. They'll be down in his league.
Are they professional though? Spencer
They're
FC?
semi-pro.
Yeah, they're
Really?
in.
So
like,
Spencer FC could get promoted to the Premier League if they.
Technically now, because they're in non-league, yeah.
yeah. If like,
And that's his vision. So fair play to him. If he makes that happen as like the world's first
I just
social club,
the thing is, I wouldn't rule that out.
I wouldn't. Imagine by the time we're like 50 or something.
I think Salford will eventually. I think Salford definitely.
They've got
will.
to, haven't they?
Where is Salford? What league is Salford in?
League 2 now, aren't they?
Oh, wow.
With the backing that they've got from the class of '92.
I've got I was looking a bit off topic to Bolton and Bury, but I was looking an article like showed the ranking of clubs based on shirt sales. Salford have sold more shirts than Bournemouth.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Salford's quite a big city, though, isn't it?
Salford.
Yeah, it's a nice place to be fair.
Huddersfield
It's
have
marketable.
sold the 6th most in the English leagues.
Do you think that's to
Because
do
of the
with
Paddy
Paddy Power?
thing.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously we've touched on it. I'll just kind of confirm it. The EFL executive chair, Debbie
This is who
Jevons?
I was on about her. Yeah.
No one wanted to be in this position, but following repeated missed deadlines, the suspension of 5 league fixtures, in addition to not receiving the evidence we required in regard to financial commitments, and a possible takeover not materialising, the EFL board has been forced to take the most difficult of decisions.
Difficult of decision, like they care. I mean, like
They could have done something more, surely.
They said in that. She said in that statement, "We did this to save the integrity of the league." Was they're postponing games? But so your idea of keeping the integrity of the league is slimming it down by 1 team, so we have 23 teams. So there's an imbalance. That's the integrity of the league.
And you imagine if Bolton go as well.
Then it's
that
22.
league is kind of ruined because 2 relegation spots.
Relegations already confirmed. It's only 2 relegations, like you said. Yeah.
I'm trying to think, is this any different to
Integrity.
the Rangers situation? How different is this? Going back a few
I
years.
remember
They got
that, yeah.
moved down, 4 leagues?
They got moved down to the bottom, yeah, didn't they? Yeah. So I
And obviously
suppose
they're
it is-
back up to the top. Yes,
Yeah,
it's
they are.
Scottish football, but
It's Rangers as well. Massive football club.
Old Firm Derby's really big, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
Massive.
Rangers get 50,000 gates. Like, it's a massive club. Like, they when they were in the bottom division of the Scottish League, they were getting like 30,000 people on.
Hiccups.
Here comes.
Really
That's
hungry.
big. That's bigger than the Bolton ground. Like, they'll net like. Sadly enough,
So
Bury
it's
just-
size of the club.
Yeah,
Rangers were safe anyway, weren't they?
Rangers. Were
It's like
safe
if
because they're
United
just
went-
massive. Like,
It's not realistic, hopefully, but
Oh no.
yeah, you can't say it anymore, can you? Because you
No.
don't know what's going on really. You can't take your football club for granted
I think
anymore.
anyone outside the top 6 has to look at this and think, "Wow, that could be us."
In my mind, Stoke. That comes straight to mind. Imagine a back-to-back
you know
relegation.
What? You know what? There's similarities between Stoke and Bolton.
But
Because Bolton had a local owner that spent a lot of money and overspent, and that's what started it. And as soon as they went down, it started to collapse a bit. Peter Coates did overspend on wages, and they are reaping the. They are now struggling because
It's a
of
squad
it.
clean out, isn't it? Now?
Exactly.
But
they've
they are
got-
one of the best run football clubs financially, aren't they? In the
But
whole
if
football league.
Bet365 go, then
Yeah,
with
that's a
wages-
point.
I mean, like, apparently Denise Coates, the daughter, hates him. I mean, as soon as Peter Coates dies,
How
All
old
it
is he- how
takes
old
is
is he
someone
now?
who doesn't know how to. Well,
it's
mismanagement, isn't it?
mismanagement, and they sell
Get the
up.
company
How old's Peter
liquidised.
Coates?
You just don't know. You can't. I mean, like, the amount of wages they've got on, and if Bet365 sell up and they don't have that financial
Yeah, the
security.
guy's 81,
Yeah.
Peter Coates.
And he's the only one interested. And he's taken more of a backseat role now at Stoke.
That's quite
Can you see
big.
this happening for Sunderland? Let's say they fail again to get promotion.
Maybe.
And-
if they don't get promoted again, they'll be in trouble. They can't stay in League One forever.
Like these teams now, where they're too big for the league they're in, aren't they?
I know, that's what it is. Yeah.
And you kind of ask the question: should you downsize the stadium at this point? If they're in League One another season,
yeah.
they're gonna have to do something.
They
Surely.
have to close stands and stuff, if they're not getting the numbers. If they are getting the numbers, then they're gonna.
Yeah, that's the thing with
It's quite
obviously,
worrying about
yeah.
Stoke.
Newcastle and Sunderland, massive fan base.
Yeah.
Stoke, isn't it? I'm just looking at some of the.
Well, that's what first came into my mind. If Stoke didn't exist, I'd be gutted, genuinely gutted.
Gutted for any club that doesn't exist, but yeah, it wouldn't be good for this city if Stoke died. Not at all. It wouldn't be good for the city of Vale died.
I think I'd feel it a lot more if Stoke died.
Oh, 100%.
I've been to Stoke games, like, when I was younger and whatnot, and more following them, etc., etc.
I've been to Bury's ground before, Kick Lane, for a match, like once, like about a couple of years ago.
And it's mad that could be the last time that you ever go and see a Bury game.
But I think if it was happening to Stoke, it would really hit home.
If it was,
I'd be like, wow.
That's what I'm trying to get into. It's like,
don't know what I'd do.
What are the fans feeling like?
I don't know what I'd do if Burnley died. I don't think I could sleep for a week. Like, I'd just feel ill. Like, you would.
I don't know what you'd do. I don't know if you'd love the game the same. I don't know.
I just don't think I could love football the same way again.
We'll get on to more of that in a minute. I've got a segment dedicated to that. Before that, though, why didn't a Premier League club intervene? Now, you were on about they weren't allowed. I don't think they're allowed, are they? I think there's something that I'm not sure the intricacies and why they can't, but I think it's some like they genuinely are not. But why not market it as like a B team? Do you know what I mean? Who's stopping that? But it's not like there's no B teams already in the division, so like. No, but I mean like, let's say you're City and United then. Yeah. If you bought the club, 'cause it's local. Yeah, it is. You get that philosophy of the play style that you want and how you want your youth players to perform, and you put that into Bury. You put the coaches there. You get all the staff. So you kind of make it like a reserve team. Like a Man City. Like like Chelsea do with Vitesse or Vitesse, where they loan their players. Okay, right. I was thinking, why not? I get your point a bit more now. Yeah. Why does even Burnley? Why doesn't someone like? Well, yeah, we could afford, no problem.
The City Football Group, they do it with like Man City, Melbourne.
Yeah, they've got Melbourne, New York City.
But I think it's because it's in the same country. You can't because like
are they
it's
the
like
rules?
I think it's because like what happens if you play them.
And then how come the whole Premier League couldn't get together and make a donation? I know. What was stopping? There must be little rules, though. There must be. What was stopping the Football League buying the club temporarily to just keep it afloat? Letting them sell it? Yeah, I know. And maybe they keep a portion of it. I just don't get why they wouldn't do that. Like they can afford. Like you say, it's the integrity, and they're the victims, aren't they, Bury? Yeah, they are. And it's unfair. It is unfair. It's really unfair.
Well, rip.
But that's what it is,
genuinely,
isn't it?
Yeah, rip.
It's just sad. Like, it's really sad. Like, there was that guy that's been on for 70 years.
Oh, Gordon, someone.
Kenny, wasn't it? I think his name.
I'm on about the fan.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, we know him anyway. We saw that video of him when he was saying, "I've been going on for 70 years."
That's the guy.
I'm frightened of it folding up. That guy that said, "I've lost."
He won the Best Supporter award. He did in 2001, 2002.
Yeah, you saw him. It looks like
he in the whole of Europe.
Brilliant. Yeah, and now he's lost his club. That guy that was on the video saying, "I've lost my partner, I've lost my dad, I don't want to lose my football club." Now he has.
I mean, going back to that, whether City or United or Burnley or someone like that should have taken over. Yeah. There was more onus on City, wasn't there? Because they rent their training ground to Bury.
And they can.
Could they not have given them that? Or
I know. Well, why were they so picky over that? Because it's nothing to them. It's peanuts.
I mean, can you imagine though? A Premier League club buys Bury.
Yeah.
And they loan their players to Bury. They've hired coaching and staff who play to that club's philosophy. The youth players go over there, perform, maybe even get Bury promoted. Yeah. Over time.
Yeah.
And then they go back to their parent club, knowing how to play in that philosophy.
If I knew Burnley could financially do that, and they could
then
afford
it'd be worth it, wouldn't it?
I'd love Burnley to do that
because it works for both parties. Bury still exist.
Yeah.
And if anything, they might be more successful because they're under the wing of a Premier League club.
Exactly. But hey, what do we know?
There must be some kind of little rule.
Yeah.
Not even little. There must be something.
If it is a rule, it's a stupid rule. It's a rule that makes no sense, but there's so many of them in that.
So let's get on then to how the fans are reacting. We know first that it's such a painful experience for them.
Yeah.
But fans around the world, how they're reacting, it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
So the Red Squirrel, unique name.
Okay.
Has put, "Can we stop blaming the Premier League, please? Only parties responsible here are the EFL, Steve Dale and previous owners."
He's right. He is technically right. But the Premier League, since the Premier League's inception, this has become more commonplace because the gap between the Premier League and the Football League is ridiculous. So,
and it's all about media, isn't it?
Yeah,
TV
it is.
rights.
Like, he's right in a sense, but the Football League, the Premier League has kick-started this divide.
I will say this: if there's no rules to say that Premier League clubs can't bail them out or take over them, that is shocking on the Premier League's part.
Yeah.
When United are paying Sanchez millions a year.
Oh my God! I mean, Sanchez could buy the football club on his own for sitting on his arse.
He could buy it and have it as a garden for his dogs, the training ground. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he could. Yeah.
It's just sad. It's really sad. Like I feel like modern day football is killing football, like as we know it.
Gone mad, hasn't it?
I actually saw, I don't think I've put it in here, but when looking for these fan reactions on the BBC, someone actually said my love for football is gone.
I can see why.
This is the cherry on top. I was already falling out of love with the game, and this has topped it. I can't get into football. I don't like it anymore.
I know. How sad's that? Like, I think almost everyone can say football is their top passion.
100%. And
ripped away.
Like we said in the intro and what we tweeted out, this is more than a passion for some people. This is their whole life. Their club is their life.
And then
it's taken away.
Let's even take it away from football. It's bigger than football.
And that's why I thought it was important to say that, because there will be people out there who genuinely might be contemplating taking their own life because of this. This is massive.
Because they're on the street. That midfielder will be on the streets now.
Yeah. Whether they're financially affected or
unbelievable.
Whether their club's been taken away.
That makes me sick. That does. Because they're just some greedy businessmen that know they're financially stable. Some poor guy is going to have him and his family are going to be on the streets. And he had the fucking gall on that radio on TalkSport. Steve Dale said, "Don't believe him."
Oh yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Don't believe him. That's what he said. What a fucking
he was
scumbag.
He was asked to react to it, and he said, "No, I don't believe him."
What an odious individual.
It's
unbelievable.
Why didn't someone like Mike Ashley come in and buy it? Imagine. They'd even take that, wouldn't they, Bury?
They would, yeah. They'd think he's a saint. But, fucking hell, I mean, it's just, that's
disgusting. He's known for taking over.
Was that the Alan Brazil show or whatever?
It was Martin Keown and Jim White, wasn't it?
Clowns.
They were right, though.
Here's another reaction, then. How is this the fault of the EFL? Blaming the wrong people will not help. If clubs act up and do not obey the rules that other clubs can clearly follow, then they must suffer the consequences.
Yeah, but
slightly different opinion there.
Yeah, and we it's healthy to have opinions.
Yeah, like and you can understand where he's coming from, because previous owners and Steve Dale
his previous owners and Steve
have
Dale
landed in this situation.
Have ultimately put them in this position. It's just, for me, the EFL have first and foremost put threats over solutions.
Yeah, do you know what? You've nailed it there. Yeah,
that's what they did. That's what they said. You know what? Instead of a solution, it's you have a deadline, otherwise you're gone.
And I think they thought that was some kind of support.
Well, it's not.
But it's nothing to do.
Ridiculous.
It's nothing like that.
That's kind of like, a landowner saying, if you don't give me your rent, you're out.
Rather than saying,
maybe I can
how
do this.
How are you?
Yeah. Like, when's the next wage
that's
coming
in?
Yeah.
Is there anything I can do to help? I can delay it for a month for you.
But these EFL lot, just don't care.
And that's the greed of the game nowadays.
But these people just don't, they're not football fans. They just don't get it. Like, they simply don't. It's fucking ridiculous. They're businessmen. They're suits at the end of the day. Like that Steve Dale said, he'd never watched football before. He hadn't.
Oh, wow.
Should he be allowed to buy a football club if he doesn't like football? Should that be a requirement that you have to have a passion for the game to be in the game? Because they've got positions in football.
How do you measure passion, though?
Yeah, it's a very good question, because somebody could revise the facts of a club, couldn't they?
I think if the fit and proper test should be, can you financially keep this club afloat?
Do you want to as well?
Do you want to? Yes. What's your previous business history like? Is it good?
But to the
are
EFL,
you a criminal? All that kind
of
stuff.
To the EFL, though, they've done that. Yet they haven't, have they? Because Steve Dale, he slipped through the net. Then, if they've done a fit and proper test on him, he's slipped through the net.
I'm saying it again, but it took me 5 to 10 minutes to find out he pretty much put 20 business into the shitter, and I'm just some random guy that searched it up on the internet, a Google search.
I wonder how he got past. I don't get it.
They literally just mustn't have looked at him at all, or not bothered, or not cared.
Yeah,
that's what.
But say he was a massive criminal then.
That's the thing. Like
he was known for fraud.
The Football League now need to look at their regulation and think, is it good enough?
It isn't. It reflects bad on them, definitely.
Like what? We're gonna have gangsters owning football clubs next?
Yeah, the mafia. Imagine.
Are they gonna let them?
AC
slip
Milan
through
get taken over by the mafia.
They're gonna let them slip through the fucking net next.
Can you imagine? Well, Abramovich, he's like Russian mafia, isn't he?
I know.
Can you imagine? So another fan comment then. This is by Mike Kelsey. Sad day. It was Bury. Could have been Vale or many other clubs. With Bolton teetering, we could see a few more this season.
I don't know what other clubs are.
Not this season.
Are in, but I don't know.
Bolton and Coventry. Coventry aren't in as bad as position,
but they're not. They don't own a stadium, and what they said was, if you don't sort your act out with a stadium, you'll be expelled. They already.
Stadiums are expensive, so.
And that's so. Like again, it's not. Oh, maybe we can help you rent a stadium or do this. It's no, you're expelled.
Yeah, where's the support from the EFL here?
I don't think they can.
If that happened in the Premier League, do you think they'd do the same, or would there be more support?
No, I think they do the same.
And in fact, they did it with Bournemouth, didn't they? They said if you don't make your capacity, your stadium bigger.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all threats over solutions, like you say.
I know. That's exactly what pisses me off. What I see from EFL is threats over solutions, and that just shouldn't be how you fucking deal with things. Like in any walks of life, if you do a threat first, it's not going to bring a solution. It's just stupid. Makes no sense.
On to the last couple then. I do feel for the Bury staff and fans. They don't deserve this. But the fact is, the club does. Ooh. They've spent massively beyond their means for as long as I can remember. And as much as the EFL can be blamed, the club has to accept responsibility.
Right. The owners, not the club.
Yeah, because if you ask the staff...
That's not fair.
When you think club, you think fans.
Yeah. Club, staff... Yeah.
No, reword that. It's not club, it's owners. It's mismanagement.
What he means, though, yeah. And he's right with the owners.
Right.
It does reflect on the owners. And
the
not
owners
just Steve Dale.
It. Yeah, not just Steve Dale, the guys before him as well. Stuart Day, I think he was called, the one that owned it before. All these people, they do genuinely deserve it. But they're not going to lose anything from this, are they?
It's the fans who've lost and the staff, like we say.
This is the thing. You're not punishing them by killing this club.
But it's the fact that the fans and the staff can't do anything about it.
So these people like saying you're punishing the owners. No, you're not. You're punishing the fans and the
owners couldn't give one.
The owners don't care, and they won't lose anything from this.
Steve Dale probably comes out and he's like, "Oh, at least I didn't lose more money."
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what's happened. He just does not care.
Last comment then. This is by Dave James King. As a business, the EFL is a joke and should have done more. Of course, PL teams should step in and help other clubs. After all, a lot of lower division clubs are feeder clubs to the PL teams.
Yeah, I agree with this. Yeah.
But like we touched on earlier, there must be something in place to stop that from happening.
I just think it's compassion as well. I think it's a football club looking at another football club in dire straits and thinking, well, I'd like to think they'd do the same for me.
I just can't believe we haven't heard, I don't know about you, but I've heard nothing about any rumours that big clubs will help Bury out or Bolton. So there must be something in place where clubs can't even make that move.
Fucking stupid rule if it's true. Yeah.
So what next for the Bury fans then? If you're a Bury fan, what the hell do you do?
You can't support another club.
Support the club when it reforms, if they do reform.
But I was listening to a podcast last week, back when they had that deadline, and a fan was being interviewed, and he actually said he doesn't know if he's got the appetite to watch his team go down so many divisions and work its way back up.
And it never will work its way back up. Well, it won't for a long time.
Don't you think it'll be a Rangers situation?
Not for a long time, no. Like it'll be 20 years until they're back in the Football League, probably. And that's being sympathetic, that is. Like you're talking about a lot of divisions, and it's not easy to get out of the non-league when you've not got a lot of money. It's tough.
I mean, what happens? How many players have they got registered? Is it a case of I think Bolton have got 4 actual players and then the rest trial or something?
Yeah, and I think it's similar with Bury as well. So they've got no players to begin with. I mean, and there's also, clubs like Hereford and Chester. They haven't come back.
Happened to Maidstone, didn't it?
Maidstone in the 90s. They've never come back. So, yeah.
It's just.
It's a sad
Where
day.
do you go? Do you lose the love for football?
Probably.
Do you watch it as a neutral?
Yeah.
Do you support another club? But I can't even imagine what that's like.
No, I couldn't. I'd feel sick. I feel, like I said, I just don't know if I could watch football the same way again. I really don't know if I could. I just feel like football as its institution and business has ripped away my one of my big reasons for getting into it.
Probably
and
only
that's
going to
my
get
club.
worse as well.
Well, I was going to
isn't
say, is this like the start of where
The
the game
end.
deteriorates? Yeah, because VAR, the game's getting stricter anyway.
I know.
And then with strict financial rules as well,
It just makes me
leagues
think,
not
right,
wanting to help the teams out.
I was thinking this. If there was, say, a cricket club that was in similar financial troubles, I don't know if they would expel them from ever playing cricket again.
Why is that though?
Maybe because there's just not like
'Cause
the
there's not
same
enough
kind of there's not that
cricket
same
clubs.
kind of greed in it, or that same kind of
Yeah, so
money
it kind
in
of brings up the
involved.
question: have we got too greedy in football? Is there
Yeah.
too much money in football?
There's too much money.
And
in
to be
football
honest,
now,
that's a
yes.
fact.
That's
is.
a fact.
Yeah,
And
I know.
that's
I get
what-
that can be opinion, but
And
that's
this is
mainly a fact.
This is the thing. This is why this has happened. The gap, money is getting way too big at the top, and that means the gap from the top from the bottom is dreadful, and that's why clubs like Bury can't survive. Because at the end of the day, Bury are literally competing with not just Man United and Man City on their doorstep, Bolton on their doorstep, Burnley on their doorstep, Blackburn on their doorstep.
And look at Championship teams as well. They're spending quite big now,
I know. So
like 20 million. That's quite big for the Championship
the gap
nowadays.
from Championship to League One's massive. Never mind Premier League to Championship. So
I mean, how would you sort that out?
you've got to redistribute it fairly, but I don't know how you do that. I don't know.
Do you have allocated spending caps in the
caps,
transfer market? and
regulation? Yeah, caps.
like the MLS.
Wage cap and transfer cap. It's what it's got to
Don't
be.
think they'll ever do a wage cap.
No,
will
they won't because there's
Makes
too much money in.
yeah.
But like that's what they should do. Yeah. Anyway.
Final statement then. So at the time of the recording this, 28th of August 2019, it looks as though they'll look to reform, but they will be joining further down the footballing pyramid.
Yeah. Well, I only give.
And that's a statement from the FA, direct.
I only
So-
give, wish their best luck and hope that one day they can come back to former glory. But I'm not hopeful.
So as we've said, kind of final words on this, it's tragic and it shouldn't be happening in modern day football. But it is, it's happening.
It's angered me.
Well, it's happened, and all sympathies, thoughts, respect, support goes out to all them Bury fans. It's such an unnecessary situation to find yourself in.
Just to me, it's just very.
The fact that it's got that much history.
I know, and that many staff, and that many connection and
Yeah,
history,
it's shocking.
yeah.
It's only going to get worse.
I think it is. I think it's a
I
sign of
think this
things
is
to
just
come.
going to be a cycle. Yeah, I really fear that.
And there goes the final whistle. If you want to have your say, email us on talkballpodcast@gmail.com or follow our Facebook page and join our community. And don't forget to subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. If you crave even more football chat, subscribe to us on YouTube for some additional football content. And we'll see you in the next one.